Okay. We are back. Now, this is a big one. I know I say this quite often. This is a big game, a very big opportunity that we have been gifted by Manchester City being beaten by Nottingham Forest. We can get into the top four again with 3 points here against Leicester. Now, we're coming off the back of two wins in all comps. Obviously, a very easy thrashing of Southampton, but then a more difficult contested game against Copenhagen with a rotated side that we put out. This is going to be another game like that Southampton game. In my eyes, that should be really easy for us to win. And if we don't win this, it will be very disappointing. Let me do my checks real quick, because I've just gone straight into this. I think I might be starting a little bit early. I'm not entirely sure. I kind of wanted to start a little bit earlier anyway, so we can get the lineups out and things like that. Popped out my chat. There we go. Cool. So, as always, we'll start this with the bingo card, then I'll do a predicted lineup. The lineup is really hard to predict today, I would suggest. I think that I think that there's a few positions in particular that are quite contentious, whether who starts. Obviously, we've got a few players coming back from injury as well that could feature. Spoiler alert, one of them may be featuring in my lineup. Maybe. Yes, we must send Rude into managerial retirement. We could definitely do that. I think it's a big shock that he hasn't been sacked yet, but I guess when you're a team like Leicester that are kind of fighting for your own survival, throwing away a manager without letting him settle first and kind of getting that run of games behind you is kind of a risk to take, and I think that they would try and stick with it. Obviously, there's other teams in the league that are also poor, and they could definitely kind of gain points on towards the end of the season, so maybe that's kind of why they've done that, but I do have some I do have some notes on Leicester and some of the statistics that I'll kind of go over in a little bit that kind of highlight how poor they have been. And it's quite astonishing because I didn't even think that they were doing that badly. Obviously, they're doing bad in comparison to everyone else, but it didn't really seem like they were doing like too bad. Obviously, with Southampton being so awful, you kind of forget that there are other teams around that same kind of ballpark that are also quite awful. Let us move into the bingo. Here we go. Yeah, I think it is a really weird decision for them to have moved on from Steve Cooper, because I don't think he did a particularly bad job with them. Um, not as bad as Rude's been anyway. I feel like you need kind of one of those managers when you're. This is a really weird thing. It's like when you're a team that is struggling and you're trying to stay up, it's really weird when you bring in like a technical coach or a coach that's kind of like comes from a more technical team and kind of tries to play more technical football rather than just, classic English football, as it were. I think it's really hard to survive when you're not playing that classic English side like style and trying to be really pragmatic and hard to break down. So, a la a Sean Dyche or an Allardyce, that type of player, that type of manager is usually the ones that I kind of go for in that scenario. Also, I think the chat is not working properly, like completely, because some of your messages are coming up and some of them aren't. But yeah, let's get into the bingo. We can highlight the bingo. Let me get a colour that you can actually see. Red, I think. Yep, there you go. That's good. Because there's some new ones on here. Obviously, I said I usually refer to the guys in the Discord for these. If you're not in the Discord, you can join with the link in the description if you're watching this on the VOD. Or I think it's probably in the description now on the live stream, I'm not sure. But hopefully. So, the first one up, this is a new one. It's El Pinguino, goal/assist. This is for Marc Cucurella. He's been in very good goal-scoring form. Why am I ticking this off? Why did I get a pen? I just realised I didn't need the pen yet. But this is for Marc Cucurella. He's been in very good goal scoring form. I think that he could definitely get a goal contribution, specifically because of the position he's playing in today that I'm going to be putting him in anyway. I think he'll have a lot easier time kind of getting into those advanced areas. We have false Neto. We had this last time. This is for if Pedro Neto is playing up top. We have clean sheet, as usual. We have common features. This is just if there's any kind of involvement for a player a la Tyreek George or Joshua Chempong, Shin Mueka, those types of players. I don't think they will feature in this game, but because it's even though it's an important game against against Leicester, and 3 points are imperative. I think that this is a team that we can rotate players against and maybe get one of those. We have Wes return. Now, this is an interesting one, because we have seen that Wesley Fofana is back in training, supposedly, and he is apparently able to be in the squad today, at least according to reports that I've seen. So if he plays, he gets on the pitch, this gets ticked off. We get Vardy party. This is just if Jamie Vardy scores against us. I don't actually know if he's going to be starting in this game. Obviously, I don't follow Leicester too much. I have got some more kind of news on their team in a little bit as well. I've got some notes here. Last week's scapegoat is always here. This is just for if a player that did poorly in the last game does well in this game. In this case, I think it would have to be either Colwill or KDH, whoever it was who lost their man at the back post. Maybe Chalabar, if he's playing, that can tick this off if they have a good game. Caicedo clean tackle punish. Now, I've renamed this one because I had it as booked before, but because it was happening quite a lot where he was getting booked, but it is now just I'm just going to say a clean tackle punish, because we see this in every single game where he wins the ball absolutely perfectly cleanly, and for some reason there's just a bias against Caicedo and they always blow up against him when he wins the ball. Of game 2 halves, this is quite self-explanatory. Unlikely goal scorer. Again, this is for a player that doesn't often score or is not really supposed to score, like a certain defender that pops up with a goal. This can be ticked off. Player booked for dissent, as usual. Very common for Chelsea case. I've got a Mugu cameo in here again as well. He's just been on here for a long time. I think this is a game where he could definitely get a few minutes towards the end of the game. Give our tiring midfielders a bit of a break. That would be nice. Maresca ball in full flow. We should hopefully be able to see this against a weakened team like Leicester. Rest/VAR mistake. We see this quite often. James goal/assist. Now, this is something that someone in the Discord mentioned to me, and they wanted on here. I think this is very, very. This could definitely happen. Him getting back-to-back goals could be a thing, depending on where he's playing. Again, I'll get more into it when we get into the lineup. There are some certain positions which I think are a bit of a contentious one. James is one of those players. We have absolute battering. Now, this is going to be if we beat them by 4 or more goals. So if it's a 4-0, a 5-0, a 6-0, that's what this is going to be for. Anything less than that isn't going to be ticked off. We have a Campeón del Mundo. This is just for if Enzo gets a goal or assist. I couldn't put the G and A in there. I couldn't fit it in, but that's just for that. Correct prediction. This is for if I get the score prediction right, which I'll do at some point at the end of this. Set piece goal. That's self-explanatory. Mono in Australia, we know this one. I did just check just now. We haven't flipped over at yet. We could do that in the Feeling Blue though later on. Palmer breaks his duck. Now, this is a good one. Apparently, this has been 8 games now where Palmer has not scored a goal. It's been even longer since he's got an assist, and I think that this could be the day where he really decides, here we go, I'm going to get back into my goal-scoring form. And because of that, I've also put in Palmer 2+ goal/assist. I think that he's going to have a really good game today. And I've got Nkunku good ×3. This was Nkunku good ×2 last time. Because I thought he could have 2 good games in a row. He actually did have a pretty good game for what it's worth last time out, and he can definitely have another one in this game, and that'll get this ticked off. And then top 4 secured. This is just for if we get a win, and we get those top 4 secured for this weekend. Now let's move into the actual lineup, and I'm going to do my predicted lineup here. I don't know if the lineup is out or not yet. It probably isn't. I would imagine it's not, but we can do a little bit of a prediction here. I think first and foremost, Jurgensen is going to be starting again. I think it was kind of obvious already, but with Sanchez playing in midweek, I think this is an absolute no-brainer. For the back 4 now, this is interesting because, as I said, right back is really contentious. I'm going to be putting Malagusto here, even though I'm not sure if he's going to be fit for this game. I think he has been confirmed that it was just a small knock that he had in the last game. I think he will be fit enough to play. But I don't know if we could be playing 3 centre-backs in these 3 positions. We don't know. However, next to him, I'm going to put in Wesley Fofana. Now, this might be rushing him back too quickly, and I always talk about how I don't like rushing players back too quickly, but we've seen it with other players like Lavia. We've seen it with Benoit Badiashile, who just came back in the last game. Enzo is prepared at times to put injured players straight back into the lineup, and I think Wes could be one of those. Him, with his partnership with Levi Colwill, who I'm also putting in here, was one of the shining lights at the start of the season, and part of the reason why we're doing so well. I think him being absent is kind of why we've dropped off quite a lot, and why a lot of the defensive mistakes keep happening recently, because we've been having a bit more of a disjointed backline without him there, and his aggression and winning the ball back kind of stops us from being able to get that that kind of control over teams. In the left back spot, it's obviously going to be, as I spoke about earlier, Marc Cucurella. I think he's a shoe-in to play here. He always does. He's electric, so I think he's going to go in there. Now, the midfield is interesting, and I'm going to be doing something a bit different here. I don't know if this is something that he's capable of doing, but if he is capable of doing it, I reckon Reece James plays in centre mid again. Now, I said this is the contentious one for me, because he could definitely play as a right back. I'm not sure if he's going to play from the start just because he played the full 90 or near enough of the full 90 for the Copenhagen game, so he might not kind of feature again. We know he's been managing his minutes, but he has been fit enough, so maybe he plays from the start. Next to him is obviously going to be Caicedo. He came off midway through the other game against Copenhagen. I think he's going to start 100%. Now, this front 3/4 is a bit weird for me as well. I've kind of done something a bit different here. I think Enzo definitely plays. I think he was really, really good last time out, and I think he probably plays in the kind of this left 8 role. Or in this kind of 10 role, but it's going to be a bit different when we actually see it in game, and I'll kind of try and kind of move that around when we get to it. However, the front 3 is really weird because I think that it depends on who we see as the striker. Depends on all the other positions. I think obviously Cole Palmer plays. If he's going to be playing, he plays on the right wing in this system for me. And because of that, I'm going to obviously be putting Pedro Neto up top as the false 9. He was really, really good in this position before. 5 minutes? Okay, thank you. He was really, really good in this position before, and I think that he hasn't done anything wrong to get kicked out of the lineup. I think he'll play here again. And because of that, I'm going to be putting... And this, again, this is a bit weird because we haven't seen Sancho for a while. I'm going to be putting Nkunku back in the lineup. I genuinely think that this suits us more, having Nkunku here, because of the way this team kind of moves when Pedro Neto is in the false 9, because he always drifts out to the right side, it kind of makes this really big rotation happen with our team, in that Nkunku will then go into a more centre forward position whilst Cucurella gets really wide. And obviously Palmer will kind of drop a little bit deeper in these positions. We kind of see this the kind of box midfield that we used to seeing under Pochettino, and we started seeing under Enzo Maresca at the start of his tenure, where we see these 4 midfielders. With that rotation obviously happening, with Pedro Neto making runs into these right channels, because he can do that from that false 9 position, and Nkunku kind of pushing up from a deeper position, I think is kind of what we see, with Cucurella getting really high. And this is part of the reason why I think that Cucurella is going to have a good game here. Because I think that he's going to be spending most of his game doing the overlapping rather than being in this kind of inverted midfield. And obviously, these two will interchange, and all of the team will rotate. I think this front line is very fluid in the way that it works. The only thing that I basically am doubtful of is again Reece James. And if Reece James can't play here for a second game in a row, and we see Enzo drop back here, I think we will probably go into a more kind of standard formation with Palmer still in the 10, Neto here, Sancho, who I've got here, Sancho in the middle with Nkunku up top, and I think that's what we could possibly see. But I think that because of it's the striker issue, I think that Enzo Maresca has kind of seen how poor Nkunku has been as a false 9, that he's not going to play him there again. And because of that, obviously Neto goes into that position. But once you go into that position, I don't think this team is kind of strong enough in terms of not playing Nkunku and seeing Sancho here. Because you kind of need that player that's going to make runs into the box, or like kind of make that rotation that I spoke about when Neto goes wide. I just don't think Sancho is going to be that type of player that kind of pops up here. I'll happily be proven wrong, but that's just kind of what I think. I'd expect us to see a similar kind of team. Again, we could probably see maybe George plays. That could be a cool thing. Is James out because he has a fever? I think that's probably the thing. Is, first of all, I don't fully trust anything that Matt Law says. That's just me. The second thing is that a lot of the time when it comes to those types of reports, I don't think he probably is ill. This might be the fact he might have aggravated something. We know how the kind of how obviously James's injury record is very, very poor, but I think the way the media has kind of handled his kind of things before has been a bit kind of, oh no, he's not. Remember we had it before with I think it was Lavia, where it was like, oh, Lavia's going to be out for a couple of weeks. There's nothing wrong with him. He's just got a bit of a small problem, and then he was out for like 2 months. So I don't really trust injury reports, but yeah, we'll find out in a bit. As I said, and so someone mentioned, yeah, Johnny mentioned that Gusto will probably do the inverting. I think that he probably will, but I don't think. The thing is, it's really weird with the way that Enzo's been kind of adapting his style recently. I'm not sure if he's even going to bother doing an inversion at any point, because we didn't really see that recently. But obviously, it depends on the backline and who we've got here. If we've got someone more like Chalabar, I think obviously Cuckoo will go really, really high. If we're not playing someone like Chalabar here and we're playing like both these centre backs, I could definitely see Gusto doing the inverting. But the thing for that kind of makes me a bit worried about the kind of offensive threat of Enzo being in the 10. I don't think he really suits being in the 10 role. But again, I'll be proven wrong. It sounds like the lineup is out. Let me just switch over to the screen real quick whilst I check it. Is there going to be something wild like we saw last time? 23 seconds ago. Oh, they've changed the way it goes out. Oh, this is really interesting. There's some names in here that I really didn't expect. Or at least one name that I can see that I didn't expect. Let me just move. I'm constantly having to move the thing around. There we go. Let's switch back. So, the first name I see, which is very interesting, Robert Sanchez is in net. Oh, okay, I've got words about that. I'll talk about that. That's very interesting. Tosin playing, very, very interesting. I guess that's because we want to see some rotation in the back line. We've got no James in the lineup at all, as people have mentioned. The front three is Palmer, Sancho, and Nkunku, and Neto. So so we're seeing more of a standard formation, right? That's the first thing I'll say. I'm going to talk about other players in a second, because I've seen some interesting inclusions on the bench. Let's move this into what we actually have. So no Jurgensen, I think is a very questionable decision, but I guess it's because this is a lesser game. So we see Sanchez. No Fofana. Is he even on the bench? Oh no, where's Fofana is playing? So Fofana, Tosin, Colwill, Cucurella. Oh, really interesting. Wait, okay, hang on. This is really odd. So we've got Fofana, Colwill, Tosin. Where have I put Tosin? Tosin, Adadabioyo, and Cucurella. So Fofana playing in this right back role as it kind of looks, but he probably will not play there in the actual formation, and I'll kind of sort that out in a second. No James, obviously. So Enzo, Caicedo are the two deep midfielders. We've got Palmer playing in the middle with Neto on the right, and Nkunku down the centre, and Sancho here. So this is more standard. I didn't expect to see this because, again, Nkunku I don't really trust to play here, but we could, again, the lineups are always not made by people that actually make the team, so this could very well just be a misinterpretation of the team sheet. This could very well be Nkunku on the left, Neto in the middle, and Sancho on the right. Could be that. But the thing which I kind of want to point out here is we are seeing an inverted role for Cucurella. 100% is what we're seeing. And the thing is, whether he plays here, I don't think he'll play in the deeper role. I think he's going up top. I think he's going into this inverted 10 role. And he's going to be a menace and try and box crash and be really annoying, which is good. That works out for us quite a lot of the time. I'm not really keen on this partnership between him and Sancho because they both want to go inside rather than one going outside, one going inside. But again, maybe that changes depending on whether this front three is rotated. The other thing I wanted to point out here, which is really interesting, Antwi on the bench. Really, really interesting. We see a Champong on the bench as well. Hopefully he can get some minutes. Amugu, who I pointed out in the that is on the bench that I pointed out in the bingo. George is on the bench, another Cobham player. Dewsbury Hall. All of our bench players are very, very kind of youth oriented, and I would like to see all of them get off the pitch. But there's one really, really big name here. Romeo Lavia is on the bench. I did see reports that he's obviously back in training. I did not expect to see him in the squad this early. Whether he gets off the bench or not is a different question. I think he could just be there to make up the numbers, as it were. But nice to see him on the bench and get him back, because he is such a linchpin in this team. He's one of the biggest reasons why the style can work. And I briefly have spoken about this in the past, but like if I just get him out here, the reason why I love Lavia so much in this midfield, and I'll just take out Enzo for now, is because he allows us to do something that we can't really do without him there, and that's to play the ball into dangerous areas and get out the back of it. We obviously want players and want teams to press us, and hang on, let me get the pen out. We want teams to like kind of put pressure on us so we can play through it and like get through. And Lavia is so central to that ability to get the ball, spin, kind of break down the pressure, and then play us forward against lesser numbers. And we just haven't had that since he's been injured. So hopefully we get to see that soon. Obviously he's not going to be playing. I don't think he'd be playing today. I think he's just there to make up the numbers. But hopefully he does get some game time. That'd be cool. And yeah, I said very young bench. Obviously we see Badiashile on there as well, Chalabar on there as well, Jurgensen on there as well. But yeah, the rest of the bench is really, really young, and it's nice to see Antwi getting a bench. I think that might be the first time he's gotten on the bench this season for us in the first team. Anyway, that's really good. Happy about that. Nice. I just want to see if there's anyone saying something that I'm missing. Yeah, definitely could be Enzo on the right with a diamond midfield. That would actually probably make more sense if we saw this, but for the most part, we've always seen Enzo play on the left side. I think he's pretty good there because he can play the kind of cross-field passes. But yeah, he could definitely play here. We could see this. As I said, the thing which is good about our team, and one of the things which I think is a big selection headache for Enzo Maresca, is the fact that he basically has this whole front area, and even to some extent going into as far back as the 6 is all interchangeable. Like any player can play in any position. It just all rotates and is really weird. So we don't actually really know until we kind of see it, how it works. The back line, let's talk about the back line because this is really interesting. Firstly, we get Wesley Fofana in the team again, and I love this. This is huge. We get Tosin playing in the central role, which I do enjoy. And then Colwell's obviously going to be playing in this kind of left back / left centre back role, which I don't think suits him as much. Personally, we could possibly see him play in the centre where he's suitable, and Tosin out here on the left. I don't think that would suit him very well though. So I think we will see this. This is a bit more standard. But yeah, good lineup, and I think against a team like Leicester, we should be able to comfortably win this. I said at the start of the stream that I have some interesting stats about Leicester and just about this game in general that I've kind of seen circulating online, which I think is very interesting. Firstly, let's talk about injury news for Leicester. They don't have Abdul Fatawu, no Ricardo Pereira as well, who I think those two are very, very important for them. Steffi Mavadidi has been benched for some reason all the time, and he keeps not getting off the pitch, which is, I think he's one of their best players as well, so I'm not really sure why that's happening. Hopefully he's on the bench. I haven't seen the lineup, obviously. They've got Koulibaly is coming back from injury as well, so he might feature. But as for the stats, so Chelsea have won 6 of the last 7 meetings with Leicester, which is a good omen. Leicester have lost 11 of their last 12 Premier League games, which again is a good omen. They have 1 clean sheet in 27 games, which is really good for us, a team that struggles to score goals, and we kind of need a leaky defence to score goals at this point. They are the only side in the league to have not kept a clean sheet away from home, and obviously this game is at Stamford Bridge. And as this game is at Stamford Bridge, Leicester have only won once in their last 11 visits to our home ground, and they're the first top-flight side in history to lose 6 straight home games without scoring. So, really, really poor. Oh, what's going on here? Stream has frozen. What's going on? I think it is just my camera. Yeah, my camera's frozen. That's okay. I just have to deactivate it and reactivate it. It should be back, hopefully. There we go. Thank you for reminding me, letting me know. But yeah, yeah, he's probably so. Yeah, hang on. What was I saying? I got distracted. But yeah, so there's all of those stats I've kind of listed out. All of that is just to say, losing here would be incredibly unlikely, and we should. I'm saying this is a very big caveat. We should be comfortable winners here, like we were against Southampton. I'm personally going to predict, for my score prediction, and this is obviously imperative for the bingo later on when we do Feeling Blue, I'm going to say we win this game 3-0. Mono in Iceland? That's funny, I should try that next time. That's really funny. That's one of the places I actually really want to go. I've never been. I want to go to Iceland. Um, but no, so yeah, I'm gonna say 3-0. I don't think this will be as comfortable as the Southampton game. I think Leicester have a bit more bite. I could definitely see them scoring against us, but I think Wes coming back is such a big boost to our defense. I think we'll shut them out. Then again, we do have Sanchez in net, which is always a free goal for any team if he wants to just give them a goal at any point. But I digress. But yeah, good lineup from Enzo. I think this is a decent team, definitely enough to beat Leicester. Hopefully we do. Thank you guys for hanging out as ever. I will, again, as I said, I'll be streaming after the game, probably about 10 or 20 minutes after the game with Feeling Blue, so we can kind of review the game. I will actually be doing a live stream today because this is an early kickoff, which is nice. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out as ever. Keep the blue flag flying high as ever.